What up, fam? Today I had on Steve Selly, aka Energy Steve, and man, does he have energy. Steve is making waves in the conscious rap scene, shaking up hip-hop's conventions by infusing his beats with soul-stirring mindfulness. His journey has taken him from a corporate gig to becoming a certified life coach, NLP practitioner, and a powerful advocate for addiction recovery. But that's not all. Steve's more recent pivot into music demonstrates his unwavering dedication to sparking change through art. Through his lyrics, Steve challenges norms and encourages self-reflection. He firmly believes that limitations can serve as fertile ground for personal growth, and his unbridled energy propels his passion for life even in the face of challenges. And guess what? Get ready, because Steve will be dropping some amazing bars right here for all of you. I want to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's show, The Kin, which is a membership network, accelerator, and workspace for conscious entrepreneurs. I'm a big fan, and I encourage you to check it out at thekin.co. And guys, if you like the show, please share with a homie or on social media, and definitely subscribe. It truly means a lot to me, and you're helping to be a part of this conscious revolution that we're experiencing today. Enjoy the show. Steve, welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you for having me, dude.
Yes, sir. Why don't you just kick it out with some verses, bro?
All right, you asked me to throw some bars down. I was thinking which ones. I didn't know where to go, so... Where do I begin? Where do I start? Got a feeling in my heart that I want you to feel because it feels so real, so I do it for no reason I'm believing, but deceiving what I'm seeing, but the breathing need to slow down. All of a sudden, I'm in a different space. Thank you for switching the pace. Running an infinite race, keeping it simple. Wanna make an impact, dimple. Wanna make you laugh, wrinkles. That everlasting love, it ripples into the infinite, perfectly symmetric, limitless, effortless. Why do I focus on lack when I have all the answers to questions I ask? Just the next step of my path, I'm taking one step at a time. All I ever need.
Yeah.
That's all we ever need.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Love that kickoff. Hell yeah,
Thank
brother.
you, man.
Yeah, man. Steve, when was your last oh shit moment? First thing you can think of. First thing that comes to mind.
The latest music video I recorded.
Uh-huh.
It was a dream come true, multiple synchronicities in one day, and just like layers of a dream unfolding, following the joy. And it was one of the most fun days I can ever remember. Yeah.
I love that, man. That is awesome. Dude, I've been talking with some homies about sort of like the concept of conscious rapping for a long time now. It's like, where are the conscious rappers? Where are hip-hop artists that are spreading more love and joy? What do you feel like, what is wrong with most of rap and hip-hop that we've been used to listening and kids are mostly listening to?
Sure. I like to see the music journey of, like, I've gone to a lot of festivals this past year, and it was really cool to hear so many different genres. I feel like it expanded my education. It was like music education year, super fun. And one thing I noticed was, like, no matter what time people are in, people like myself who feel like the need to express, they're just sharing what's happening in there now.
Yeah.
So I think in the past, people were just sharing their stories, and there was violence, and there might have been drugs, and there might have been whatever it was, but it was their truth, and that's how they got through it. Like, I'll share later in this episode probably some of my corporate truths, and I was stuck in corporate. And then as that got out, what I'm seeing now, and this is my limited view, is things that got popular, people were trying to follow what's popular or follow what's mainstream or follow what's helping them get successful.
Yeah.
So they might have lost that truth of what the stories were. And then same with just like maybe mumble rapping or just like hype music. Is like they're just trying to follow these trends. But I'm super inspired by Little Dicky. And so what he's done for me is like showed me like similar thoughts that I've had, give me permission to rap the way I want to. So the way I'm seeing is like it went crazy one way of like, all the way this, you know, I've heard of them in the past too. They're rapping about the same three things: money, sex, and drugs, or money, sex, and wealth. Or it's the same thing, but you get the point. And then it was like, he was like anti that because he's like, hey, this is my lane. But it's almost like all the way the other way.
Interesting.
And then also I started to notice people are doing affirmation trap music, which I love, like just straight affirmations over and over again, repeating. But then for me, I was like, I'm trying to find some that bump still. Like I love the hard music, or whatever story it is, even if the words don't resonate with me, because they just make my neck loose, is what I like to say.
Exactly.
Just makes me bump. And so Dickie's anti, and then there's like, so it went like one way, then he's like, I'm not that. And now it's like kind of finding its balance with like conscious bumping music.
I love that, bro, because that's a lot of what I'm about. It's like there's this whole... So, you know, when we were kids, at least when I was a kid, I'm older than you, but it was like doing good was not that cool. It was only related to a certain groups. Maybe it was just church thing, and at the time, maybe church wasn't that cool or whatever it was. Some was. I'm just generalizing here overall, you know? And so how do you make what's conscious and what's good for the world and impact cool? And that's what I love, that you're trying to find that exact midway point, because it's like, yo, rap still has to bump. It has to still be badass shit, you know?
Yeah.
But how do you mix that in? You know, I love that. I love that, man.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah, I love it.
We're back.
We're back. We actually just had, you guys didn't see that, we had a cat just jump through the studio here. It was wild. Let's go back a little bit in your journey, Steve.
Sure.
So you were 5'10", and one of your first dreams was to dunk a basketball.
Yes.
So, and that took you on a crazy journey in life. So share that with us a little bit.
Sure thing. So growing up, I'll go all the way back. I was the shortest of my friends, which made me want to stand out through jumping and sports and speed.
Yeah.
So that's like, I didn't know it back then, but that's how I was trying to like express myself. Then later in high school, I just had this one thought of like, I always dunked as a kid. I think a lot of young boys do. They're just like dunking on low rims, dunking on their friends, dunked on my trampoline. And it was always my way of having just fun. I love the dunking aspect. I have videos of me when I was 5 dunking, which is really cool. And so, yeah, when I was in high school, I'm like, what if I can touch the rim? Like I saw my friends, I was on the JV team, no skills. Never believed in myself because I was so short, and every NBA player is tall. I'm like, by default, I can't make it. That's just my limiting belief I had. Right. And then I saw my friends jumping and trying to dunk, and it was like a wow, like a gift. Like they are a dunker. There was like dunking people who are freaks and non-dunkers. And that's how my
that's how humans were divided.
That's how it felt. Like you have that freak gene that you can jump high or you can't. And being short, white, and Jewish, it was like no examples of that. So then I tried to touch the rim, touched it. Then I grabbed it, then I hung, and I'm like, wait a second, I just practiced for a little bit, and I think I can train this. Started training it, and I actually started searching on YouTube how to find it. No Instagram yet, just YouTube. This was in 2011, 2010, 2011. I was 18, and I found this guy that was 5'10", white, and he did it. So it like made my little mind say, oh, you can do it now because someone else did it.
Expander was there, that belief.
So now, looking back, it's like, oh, I saw it happen, so then I believed it. But through the whole journey, I realized, oh, if I believe it first, I can see it, meaning I can materialize anything. Yeah. So I just went on this journey, grabbed the rim, got my first dunk in like 6 to 9 months, and then just was like, the doors were wide open. I'm like, okay, if I trained here, like beyond what I even thought possible, let's see how far I can take this. And that was just purely for that joy of, and then I was windmilling. I increased my vertical about 14 inches. I touched 11 foot 2.5, I think it was, which is like a 42.5 vertical. Dude. My max. And it was amazing. It was incredible.
That's wild. But now this sort of, it took you on a further journey though, right? You were inspired. What else happened from all of this?
So during that time, I got my corporate job. And when I was dunking, I realized, okay, as soon as I got my corporate job, I'm like, I don't like this. I don't like sitting at a desk. What the heck can I do to get out of this? And one thing I was doing, I was already filming myself. Yeah. Casey Neistat, huge vlogger. I'm not sure if you're familiar, but he was hugely inspirational to me. And he was vlogging, and vlogging was getting huge. I'm like, I would love to be a vlogger. I'm doing it already. If I could blow up on there, I feel so free. I started vlogging. Learning my love for cameras. And then I started to notice the same limiting beliefs I had with dunking through like my camera work. And so it led me on this personal growth journey, and which led me to like being on YouTube more, which led to podcasts, which led me to Joe Rogan was one of the first podcasts with Neil deGrasse Tyson. That opened my mind of like, oh my God, instead of listening to music at work at my corporate job or riding in my car, I could listen to a podcast and like download all this information. Yeah. So my mind was expanding like crazy, noticing, started meditating, started reading, started just doing all different mindfulness practices. Love that. And 3 years after that, like 2019 is when I quit my job with this newfound mindset from 8-9 years of dunk training to pursue freelance photo and video. And just because I was like, this is at least one step closer to something I love where I'm miserable at this job right now. So I don't know if I want to be a photographer, videographer, but this is at least a step I can take.
And this all started from the dream of wanting to dunk.
Yes.
Was there, so I feel like you said it, but was there a moment when you saw someone else do it that was also 5'10" white dude?
Yes.
Because, dude, all right, so I had the second highest vertical when I was like 14 after Duan Finley, and Duan Finley was a fucking beast, bro. He was a beast. Man, and so I was stoked, and I was still nowhere near dunking, and I'm 6 foot.
Yeah.
So dunking is no joke, people out
Yeah.
there, if you never played basketball. So was there a moment where you actually believed that you were going to do it? Was it that moment when you saw the other homeboy do it, when you saw him do it? Or that was still more of like, it's still like, yeah, you believe you could, but was there a moment that was critical?
Yeah, there was a moment where it was like, I couldn't touch the rim. Then I started touching it. Then I started like grabbing it, like just snapping it. And then I was like, if I could hang on the rim, the same rim that NBA players hang on, that's like, that already was a dream state of like, that was, and so me feeling so small, jumping and hanging, I remember like, okay, I think this is trainable.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I was like, he did it. Now I'm like, it felt like 100%. But the whole journey till the first dunk was always like, can I really do it? But I kept increasing. And I'm like, if I've already increased, why can't I?
It's just like the perfect example of tiny little steps.
Tiny
one
steps.
at a time, man. That is epic. So I got to read this from the list here, man, because when you transition from your corporate job, you started pursuing passions. You got certified as a life coach, master practitioner of neurolinguistic programming, addiction recovery coach, and you got Reiki attuned.
Yes.
So how do we overcome our genetics?
Wow. One, believing that you can do anything. And I had this, the reason I feel like we can overcome our genetics was because there was one time in my life later in my dunking when I was training for 8-9 years. I'm like, I wanted to squeeze out another ½ inch. Like it gets really hard there. And I'm like, maybe it's my genetics. I found that doubt. And I'm like, do I want to feed into that we can do that or not? But it was like an ultimate excuse for me. Like, this is my genetic. You can't do it. I'm like, look how far I've pushed my genetics. Why would I stop here? Like,
Such an easy and comforting excuse.
Yes.
Right. It's so easy.
How do you dispute it? You're like, it's your
genetics.
So the question was, how do I overcome them?
Yeah. How do you overcome genetics?
So for me, it was tiny steps and just going deeper within myself of like, what do I truly believe is possible in this universe? And I did that. And I actually got to a point where I like made the step that I didn't think I could do. One of them was dunking in a game. And the ball came off, someone shot it, it bounced off the rim, and I caught it in the air and I dunked it in the game. And it was incredible. It was one of my favorite dunks I've done. This was just last year. And I was like, hell yeah. I did something I never thought I can do. And I was like super shredded at the time. So I was like, I'm shredded, shaping my body the way I want and performing the way I want. Yeah. And I'm like, I realized I still didn't believe I can do more. I'm like, wait, how many goals do I have to hit to overcome what I used to think was genetics for me to believe I can overcome my genetics? And that actually led to my transition with rapping, because I'm like, I feel like I'm going down this path of continuing to train to dunk because I'm like trying to prove this over and over and over again. But if I truly believe it, do I even want to do that? If I believe I can do anything with my genetics, do I want to use all that energy for just dunking? But then, so it was like a year process of letting go of dunking, because I'm like, okay, if I truly believe I can overcome my genetics, I've done it every time I set my mind to it, I do it. But it gets harder and harder because it's like harder goals. But I'm like, I believe I can, but do I even want to? I'm like, I'm just trying to prove it. It feels like fear. It feels like, do I even believe it? But I'm like, I don't want to act out of that fear. And it took a long time to get clarity on, am I acting on it because I don't believe I can do it?
Interesting.
Or yes, it was
it's like you're trying to prove yourself wrong now, almost.
Exactly.
Or trying to prove yourself right.
I don't even know.
I don't even know. I just got we got into a loop there.
Yeah.
But okay, we'll go a little bit more into that. So, but first, why don't you just drop me some more? Give me a little bit more.
Okay, so which one? So now I'll do something. This one was when I was in corporate. I'll drop it about like this. How looking back, I love the Steve Jobs quote. It's, you can only connect dots looking backwards. And it's like, you have
that one.
Yeah, so it helps me because it's like when you follow joy, you don't know where it's going. Your mind's like, how's this going to make money? What path is this leading down? And so when I look back, though, I can look at all these moments I had of like writing this rap that I'm about to do, or different dunk experiences, or quitting my job. It's like, I didn't know at the time and it felt scary, but I look back, it's like, oh, this led to this, which led to that. So this rap was me like probably 6 a.m. in the morning writing, because that's the only time I could. And yeah, I'll just rap it. It says,
let's do it.
Up on Amazon, I bought a telescope. No lie, check my shopping cart. I'm feeling kind of nebular. Stars and us are so similar. We shine bright, but never reach the limelight. And we hardly get noticed. Our life gets lost in emotion. The only goal is promotion, but that's not where I am focused. So I write lines to unwind. let loose and produce the same music I was using to dilute confusing movements, looking clueless. That's the reason that I do this, and I'm looking at my left like, did I choose this? In the mirror like, who's this? When did I agree to walk this path? People act like they need a life map. They still think the world's flat. Look around, don't be bound, your potential's untapped. Take off your dunce cap, fuck the atlas, don't duck the challenge. Believe in your dreams, March Madness, same bracket, but with practice. Talents that I have won't make you climax, can't lie that. You're still flaccid, got you all aroused with the sound, cause the way I'm spitting now even got my dentist proud, never looking down. On my way up, living every day up, even with my left, I never miss a layup, cause I'm feeling right, despite my appetite for girls who don't need makeup, a good light. My type be a waist tiny, nice high knees, smart chicks with one tricks, Hermione, come find me, top of the checklist, ethnically blended, subscriber to Netflix, never give my info to nymphos. If she exotic body like a hypnotic goddess, may go back on my promise and let her save my credentials, easily sidetracked by women with nice as temporarily mind lapse, strive for high class and my raps go from are you kidding to being my living, and my only business decision will be how soon do I get in the booth, debut what I have written, monsoon of my tunes raining down as living proof that my forecast brings more cash, ass is fucking morbid, working for corporate, don't want to be bored with, living the norm, swat spit flames and record, my mama's name must be Denarius Storm, born Khaleesi for short, formerly warned that the kid is going deep, his name is Stevie C, and I'm outie, goddamn.
Woo! Yeah, let's go.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then I go to work at 7 a.m. I'm like, how we doing? And they're like, I'm great. I don't really want to be here.
Oh, man. Oh, man, I love that. Love that. Steve, you moved to California.
Yes.
On an intuitive whim. You told me it was a full body yes. How do you listen to intuition? How do you achieve clarity and ignore logic?
Amazing. So part of that process is actually writing. Like when I feel these things, I write, and it's like from that higher state of like, that's the truth. And then it's like, you have to operate here. So music has been very helpful for me to see what I'm actually thinking versus what I'm feeling and what like my knowing is. So what I like to say is I actually do energy coaching and help this. Part of my life coaching evolved into energy coaching to help people find those blocks, tap into their frequency and what helps them. What's really helped me is making a distinction between the heart and the mind. They do a dance at all times. Sometimes they're really close together, so it's cloudy. Like which one's talking? Long story short, I follow the heart, and the heart is always very simple, and it's a knowing. And so even language is like, I think I should do this, or it's like, I know I want to do this, right? You just then you say you know, right? And then the heart for me has always come first. Like I'll feel something, and then the thoughts come. Like someone says, do you want to perform? Like Michael, he's like, do you want to perform? I'm like, yes. And then I'm like, oh God, it's kind of scary, right?
Yeah.
But it's always the first thing that I feel there. Yeah. And it's also very simple. It's like if
you feel your intuition always comes first.
Yes.
For me. Yeah. For you, yeah.
Yeah. And the way I find that out is like removing the outcome. So if I'm confused if it came first, I'm like, do I really want to do this? I say, okay, what if the outcome went amazing? And what if it didn't, there were no problems? What are all my fears about it? And get those out of the way. I'm like let's say this place with next performance goes amazing and it leads to this. I'm like, of course I would do it, right?
Yeah.
So that makes it even clearer for me that it was just my mental fears coming in after what I truly want to do. Yeah.
Love that, man. Steve, how does your background in IT, like that corporate job aspect,
that's funny.
Is there something from there that you've brought into your passion-filled journey?
So I wouldn't say like my actual job I had, but I think the computer skills and programming background helped me do everything myself, which was very liberating.
That is.
So I like to say, like, for example, my whole journey, I filmed myself, edited myself, posted myself, which led to me being able to, I did my own podcast, which I still do. And all of those things, I created myself, produced myself, posted myself, and gained all those skills, which I can help clients with.
That's a big deal, man.
Yeah.
And the reason I ask you that is because I think that a lot of people that may be listening out there, a lot of people that are on this sort of journey of finding their passion and being able to monetize that, or like just leaving something that isn't fulfilling, they feel like, oh, that means that I have to throw away everything that I have in the past, right? So it's like you can always use even something from your past that you didn't like or isn't fulfilling.
Yes.
You can use it into your present or your future journey that's filled with passion.
So
you know?
yeah, I like that question because it's like I've had people that have worked that are in corporate. They're like, I spent 3 years at this job or 5 years at this job. And for me, one goes back to that quote, all the dots you're making, look how it helped you.
Yeah.
And I think that's definitely a gift of mine is to look at the positives from it. And one thing I love that's a positive from the corporate job was I was rapping, dunk training, and trying to create all this content around a 9 to 5 without getting like sunlight, for example. So it's like it carved this efficiency in me to be able to do all these things. And now it also carved a lot of gratitude because I wake up every day and I don't have to go somewhere. And that is huge. So it's like there's always, I believe there's always, first of all, everything that you're going through is perfectly part of your path. So you may not know it in the moment, but just you will 100% find a reason for the path.
Absolutely. I mean, even for me, I've personally never had a corporate job. That's not very common.
Nice.
But yeah, but even that, like I remember as building my companies, there was some skills that I didn't have because I hadn't had a corporate job. And so when somebody came into the team, whether we hired them or whether it was a partner that I partnered with that had corporate experience, it's like, oh, that's great. Like, thanks for bringing that corporate aspect into it. So like, I think we've got this sort of idea of like, oh, corporate is the devil, corporate is shit, and it's not passion. Well, first of all, there's tons of great entrepreneurs that are inside corporate jobs that are making change and creating impact, and there's some beautiful corporations out there. But also, if that's not your jam, corporate structure can help you with your entrepreneurship, you know, with the entrepreneurship journey. So what about the transition to music? How did that come about?
Yeah, so rapping started when, first of all, I did some rapping as a kid. I have to find this video of me rapping when I was like 8 because I made the music video. I just thought of this recently. Like, it'd be so fun because in my dunk journey, I have me dunking at 5 and then dunking. So I'm like, it'd be fun to find those home videos.
Well, if we find it, we're going to throw it in.
Yeah, that'd be great. So that's one, is like I just always loved doing it. But then when I started vlogging more, I started adding music to my videos. And I would say this would be a perfect intro for this video, like this song. And I'm like, I want it to have like a little bit of an intro. So I would like write some words to make an intro for the video they're about to watch. And then I also started a podcast, same thing, made an intro for the podcast. But a big pivotal moment of starting the podcast was because I was writing some lyrics and recording a podcast and kind of making small raps for them. I was like, when I went to get my podcast mic, I got a mic that was like made for rapping as well. Like, it wasn't like the best podcast or the best rapping. It was like a good blend. So I'm like, I remember thinking like, it was almost like in my movie of life, it's like, which path are you taking? Like, so I was like, that was cool. I still use that mic to this day. It's like it's a great rapping mic. So that was one big moment. And then it was just like, writing it for my vlogs, and then like this corporate one I just rapped for you, it was like just for rapping. I just started like, you know what, I like this part of it, let me just keep doing it. And now looking back, I was like, oh my God, like that one came true. Like, I'm not living corporate, and I'm now, I didn't even, like, I wrote that like having fun, like thinking that my business decision would be debuting my songs, and now it's actually happening.
Love that.
Which is why I followed it more. So it's wild.
That's epic, man. As I see, I consider it, I mean, I don't know if this is how you'd categorize it, but I consider you more of as a conscious rapper because of the types of themes and inspiration that is built into your music. Definitely. So you've got over 50,000 subscribers on YouTube, I believe, and so you're reaching a lot of humans through social media and through YouTube and all these places. So do you feel that music, particularly these sort of more conscious themes that you're implementing in your music, are going to allow you to cause a greater impact?
Yes, 1,000%. And that's another reason why I let go of the dunking, because it felt like physical. Yeah. And I could inspire people, but I remember me being inspired. It felt limited. It felt like I was limiting what I could do because I could only increase a little bit more. And this feels like I'm just starting the mountain. And when I look at how it literally is like dunking was an expression. I would say that later in my journey, it was like, it wasn't even about the dunking. It was like I was performing. Yeah. And I like the training and my videos. It was I just love the performing aspect. I could go to the gym and I'd love training to like make a sick video. I'm like, do I want to be a camera guy? I'm like, not really, but I love the performing. And if I just take dunking out and put rapping in, I'm actually training harder than I have in a year because I had no goals. But I ran yesterday at the Venice Run Club. Shout out. That thing is so much fun. But I'm running like crazy. I want to increase my lung capacity. I want to start dancing and training there. Like my physical training got inspired from this new performance.
Yeah.
So where was I with that?
Just creating more impact.
That's
through rapping.
Yeah. So now it's like looking at the journey that dunking had from like the inception of the idea to getting my first dunk to how far it went. Like I increased my vertical, like you said, overcome genetics.
Right.
To now there's a dunk camp that's yearly that we inspire hundreds of kids every year. I've inspired over 1,000 people to get their first dunk.
It's amazing.
And then the way it's transformed me to like my mindset, to my mindfulness practices, to the journey I've been on in 9-10 years, to feel the same way about this new journey of like what's possible feels like it's starting on the top of that mountain. And it's just like, oh my God. So yeah, it feels like way more impact. People can listen. Music has been so impactful for my life to navigate this whole thing, not writing it, but just being in it and like listening to it. So it's like to think I can have that impact is incredible. And the impact I've already had has been, it's been just like overjoying. I don't even know how to express it.
Epic, brother.
Yeah.
Well, you can express it.
Yeah.
With some beaming.
Yes, do it.
Bring it, baby.
So that one is a lot. I don't know if I could, let's see how we can do this one. I'll just
give me some verses, brother.
Yeah. So background of this one is allowing your genius. Like a big part of my journey and my human design chart is like being a genius. And to call yourself that is like, some people have trouble with that. Some people don't. I was like, who am I to be a genius? And
you got to unleash your genius, right? Actually, my mother was a very wise woman. Always talks about unleashing your genius. Yes. Everybody's got it, right?
Everybody's got it.
Before we get into the song, we were talking about like we did the mic check, and you were like, "I am the best."
Yes.
And I love that you said that, and I've heard it in your songs. And we've got this like imprinted thing that if we call ourselves the best, that we're being arrogant, and that arrogance is bad. And so it's like there's this fine line between believing that you're the best or that you can be a genius versus just thinking that you're just better than everyone else and everyone else's shit. It's totally different, right?
Totally different. And I think the line is, what's your intention? Like, why are you saying it? And that's everybody always says, what's your intention? But it's your feeling. Like, like for me, I have a song called I'm the Best, and I have a song called Arrogant too. So the Arrogant one was me, like we were about to talk about before the podcast, was the Arrogant song was like, there's this voice in my head that wants to be arrogant, that wants to like say, I'm the best, say all these different things. And I was like suppressing them, like, let it out. Yeah. And so like it's dancing with it, letting out, have fun with it. And it's like, that's a part of you. You can't shut down any part of you. You're going to shut down yourself, you know? So it's about letting it out, and in a healthy way. It's fun. It's a good song. And it's also just out. For me, I'm a very expressive person. So if I try to like not say those things, it's always going to be there. Instead of letting it out, that's my arrogant side, but I don't have to act on that. Right?
Oh, man.
And so the I'm the Best one came about because I was
That's
like...
great. You get to express it through music. Doesn't mean you have to act on it.
Yes.
While still having a positive impact through the majority of your content out there being very much, mission-driven, purpose-driven, inspirational. Yes. But also you could still be like, yo, I can still got this arrogant side that I just want to get out and express it. Yes.
And I'll actually tell you a quick story more about that, how I got that distinction, which is the song I sang at the beginning, which is the One Step at a Time. I had a plant ceremony with Kana about 2-3 years ago. Okay. And that's what really helped me see the difference between my heart and my mind, worked with a shaman. And now when I was doing that, where was I going with this? Where do I begin? You said something that really helped me. Let me think for a sec.
We can think, baby.
During this ceremony, allowing what you want to do. Can't remember where I was going. You were saying arrogant, allowing the genius, taking one step, trusting your heart. Yeah, it's just getting to know yourself. But where was I going? This is a good story. You're gonna like it.
You talked about the plant medicine.
Yeah, the plant medicine is a really good story. I'll just tell you, I'll just go on that story and see where it goes. So in the ceremony, one thing I noticed was I had the courage to like go into the ceremony. I felt the call. I'm like, I think I'm ready. I'm not sure if I'm ready. You never really know, but I had the courage and I felt amazing. Basically, it helped me. It like flips your subconscious to your conscious state, and you just feel and know everything. Like there's no mind in the way. Oh, I got it back, by the way. Just write it down. So I got it back. So you feel your mind out of the way. And I was talking to the shaman. I'm like, I feel so connected. Like me and you right now, we have this connection. Yeah. We feel some things. You probably know what I'm thinking. You know what I feel. But the mind's like, do I really know this? Do I really feel this? And it's questioning. But during this plant ceremony, it removed that. It like changed your state. So you feel so connected to everybody. You feel like you are that connection. You kind of have a whisper in other times. So I told him like, how do I keep my mind over there? I feel like my heart's leading the way. When I get off this medicine, how do I keep it? He's like, you don't. Like, he's like, I'm like, but my ego, like, I don't want to act on my ego. I want my heart. He's like, you don't. It'll come back. I'm like, what do I do? How do I know? He's like, you dance with it. And that is how I learned to make this music is you don't push it away. You don't say my ego's over there. Your mind is over there. Your arrogance is over there. It's going to come. It's part of you. So just dance with it. And you get better at this dance. And that's where that song One Step came from.
And I love it because at the very last line of that song, I think you mentioned like you let go of the alter ego or something like that.
Yes.
What is the last
line? I say
line?
like alter ego is now finished. Thanks.
Exactly. So it's almost like you're admitting,
you're
admitting to the listener like, hey, this is part of my alter ego.
Yeah.
It's like,
and it's so much fun.
That's fun.
It's fun to just say those things.
Yeah.
And so don't be hard on yourself. Like, I shouldn't say that.
Yeah.
It's like, have fun with it. And so then leaning into that, I have a song called I'm the Best.
Yeah.
And that came, like, a lot of, like, what's cool about the Kin in this place is, like, there's so many entrepreneurs and they share their stories, and so many successes came from people having accidents. They're like, I just want to do this and see what happens, or break something, or have fun. Yeah. And then it became, like, their business. And so a lot of my songs came from like me trying to make my friends laugh, or me making myself laugh is now my focus. But it's like that energy of like, it'd be so fun if I'm just like, I'm the best. Like,
it's playing it big. It's playing big, man. It's playing big. And if you don't play big, if you don't play a big role, you're just not going to impact, and it's just not going to make a difference. You have to be able to play big and play into that, right?
Yeah. So and I have also noticed the only time I ever feel like someone's being arrogant, it's within me. Everything, my songs are about everything's are within you.
Yeah.
And like even recently is like, I wanted to be an artist, but I also have entrepreneurial goals. And I'm like, I can't do both. I'm not authentic if I'm doing an artist. And I'm like, but I see these artists that I like kind of irk me. I'm like, why did they irk me? Like they're not doing anything. And sitting with that long enough, I realized they're using their creative genius in all these ways. And he was a comedian, famous comedian. And I was like, why does it bother me? I'm like, I worry that if I got to that level, people will think I'm doing it for the money because he's able to make so much money in different ways. And I'm like, what's wrong with that?
What's wrong? Exactly.
Right? And so I let go of that. And then I'm like, now I'm free to do both and let your creative genius go wherever it wants to go.
Love that, man.
Should we get back to being a genius?
Let's get back to beaming. Let's get back to beaming, baby.
Like, after moving to California, lots of waves. It's like I'm trying to build a business, and I still want to. I don't know if I'm rapping yet. I'm just like writing on the side. I'm like, I feel this urge to say these things, but I don't know where they're going, and it's scary. It's like this joyful burst. That's like, but I'm on a high wave where I'm feeling great, and it feels like, oh God, I swear I'm beaming. I'm glowing. Got a feeling. It's a knowing. Can't control. I just gotta let it flow. Cause if I don't, I swear I'll overheat. It's bigger than me. This way over, Stevie's just a human being. Remove the human. Let the being speak. And that's the main chorus of that song. And what that means to me is that you have this vibration that's so strong. Just let it guide you and have the courage to say like, take me. And that song came from that energy and reminds me of that energy. And that's why I love rapping, because it heals me as I share. And it's like a really cool process.
Love that, bro. I was bumping that song this morning on the way here.
Music videos just about out.
Hell yeah, man.
So
that's
sick.
exciting.
It's really fun.
Steve, let's talk about removing limits versus choosing limits. So we're always talking about self-limiting beliefs. Like what is limiting us from becoming X or from doing X, right? So you spent your whole life removing limits in order for you to dunk, to do this, to achieve that. And then you came to a realization that actually limitation is what was going to help you get to that next step.
You must have saw that video.
Choosing your limits. Yeah, I just
You're awesome, dude. These are fantastic questions.
Thanks
seriously. Yeah, so that was part of that unclarity I had when I'm like, is this the right path? Because I spent 10 years removing limits, overcoming genetics. It was like, I can do anything. I literally got to a place where I believed it. And one of the hardest things to believe is like physically. It's like you can change your physical body because it's like so material. Like the other things is like, oh, can I make money come in? It's like, whoa, that kind of magically happened. You don't know how it came in. But like physical is like weird that you can change your physical body. Removed all limits and I preached it. You are limitless, limitless, limitless. So then to be like, what do I do with this? I couldn't choose. I was in this space of like, because I would look at anything and feel like I can do it. Surfing. I was like, pro surfing sounds incredible, right? I can do it. Painting, dancing, you name it. I was like, how the hell do I choose? And that's in one of my songs too. Is like, I started to say, I wanted to choose me. And as I'm doing that, I'm like reading this book, The Wheels of Life. It's about the chakras. And it talked about choosing your limits and the boundaries. I like to say boundaries too. That helps me see like limits feel like restrictive.
Correct.
So I like to just use language for people that kind of maybe resonate more. It's like, now it's like, okay, but what are your boundaries? You're like a fire and you have no limits. You can go anywhere you ever want to go. But for the fun of life, just to enjoy it to the most, which way do you want to direct that fire? That's what it feels like to create boundaries. Because if you don't, I would be in fine. Like I could do a little bit of rapping, a little bit of dunking, a little bit of this and this, but I'm like, I want to channel all this to just grow bigger.
Yeah.
And that goes, people could say, or my own mind says, why don't you do everything and make it huge, right?
Yeah.
But it's just not in my flow. And I have limits because I'm in this reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing, especially for me, because I do feel that I am a very multifaceted human. And so what happens is that can be very distracting and it doesn't allow you to go all in on one thing.
Yes.
And then at the same time, sometimes you are meant to be able to do multiple things, right? But where's that limit, right? You can choose. You can do a few different things. You can be multifaceted and have different things in life that you're doing great at.
Yeah.
But when you can just start diluting and diluting and diluting, right? So it's really a fine dance of choosing those limits, and boundaries definitely sounds a lot better. Yeah.
And so what I'm at now, what I use is like allowing myself to feel lit up completely. So how I let things choose me is looking at the past, and you're always creating your now and also responding to your now at the same time. That's the duality of life. So for example, I've surfed a couple times in my life, but I've been rapping my whole life basically.
Yeah.
And then when I say like, what do I want to do? It's like, what's calling me right now? Like, and I spent a lot of time like, why is music calling me? Why is it calling me? Why is it calling me? And then I find that it's just calling me and it feels good and it's exciting. And then when I follow that, I have so much fun. So that's literally the only thing I'm following right now is the fun.
That's fucking great, man. Yeah. That's fucking great. I mean, if fun is the sort of the notch from the universe that says, yep, that's right, that's right. Like that's a beautiful thing. Obviously, some people can hear that and say, well, that can take me down a dark path, right? So it just depends on the intentionality behind it too, like, right?
I have another nugget for that.
Yeah.
That's been very helpful on my path is fun is sort of the action I take and joy and the expression.
Yeah.
But I have a foundation of peace. So no matter what I do, even if it's maybe like the entrepreneurial stuff or even my business, maybe it brings me income, for example. That's a foundation that when I lay down at night after following fun, like making a music video for absolutely no reason, which could be scary for the mind.
Yeah.
Where's my foundation? Do I feel peaceful after doing it? Do I have like a good foundation of peace that's making my human and my mind relax that I can go explore and have fun and just follow the fun? So I think it's very important to have both.
Love that. Love that.
Yeah.
So every step in life and everything has led you, if you've got the right intention, right? It's an opportunity for growth. And so you're navigating all of these things. Like, how do you keep the faith, the energy level, the positivity, like every day when life is throwing shit at you, bro? Yeah. Because Energy Steve has a lot of fucking energy, man. How does this work?
Mastering your flow.
Okay.
So finding, just like I said, excitement is my guide. Finding what your guide is. Some people's it might be purpose or whatever words it comes in. I actually use my human design chart a lot. I have a human design coach. In the past few months, working with her has been very helpful.
Yeah.
So it's like knowing what centers are or more open to conditioning and what traumas you have. And so mastering your flow, knowing your mind, getting clear on your heart and what makes you feel the best. For me, it's having peaceful foundation and a joyful expression and just having more magical moments. But other people might be like, for example, I was talking to my friend today. He wants to be more behind the camera. He's not an expressive person, but he loves the storytelling behind the camera. And I was that too, but I was like, I always felt an urge. I'm like, I want to be in front of the camera. I want to be talking. I want to be sharing. So finding your flow, mastering your flow, and looking at patterns, noticing patterns. Like, what did you do in the past? What did you do when you were a kid that had no restrictions? And then try to look at the future. What would you do if you made it in your mind's eye? Let your mind talk. Let it all out. And then what would you do? So finding your flow is what I would say.
Love that, bro. Where's Energy Steve at in 2 years?
Ooh, oh my God. So tough because in 1 year it's been ridiculous. But 2, I would love to have harmonious flow within my performances and my business. So whether it's right now I'm working on a media company that I'm building a team, that might not be the number one thing, but I'm also working on energy coaching. And that's kind of my favorite part of the media is like helping people find their heart and express it through their media. Like courageously saying like, this is the message I want to tell the world. Like I like help getting them clear on that. So it's like energy coaching / media. And then performing, like those two, like where my performances light you up, you see my shine, you see me in my full flow. And then you're inspired to find your full flow.
Love that.
And
Love that.
lighting up the world. 2 years, let's light up the southern hemisphere. Maybe the northern.
What are top 2 traits that a conscious leader must embody today?
Ooh.
Top 2 traits that a conscious leader must embody today.
Conscious leader. I want to say something about like internal work, like put yourself first, like mastering internal, like everything's internal. I don't know if that's a trait. Self-awareness, I'd say. Self-awareness and fun.
Yeah, I love
Joy.
that.
Yeah.
I've only had one other person since this podcast started say fun.
Nice.
And I love that.
Yeah.
It's so important, man. It's so important. Dude, I'm so excited for Journey, brother. So excited for your journey.
Thank you so much, dude.
I want to give a special shout out actually to the sponsor of the show, the Kin, which is where we're shooting at today.
Yeah.
Which is a membership network accelerator and workspace for conscious entrepreneurs here in LA. So pretty awesome. So definitely check that out.
Can I give a shout out too for them?
Absolutely.
I've been in the accelerator for a few weeks. I've had incredible meditations and just the people coming to the space. Michael helping out with this podcast. Just I've seen so many people that light me up when I'm here. So I've been finding myself coming here more and more and more and then the connections I make with the people, which I think is everything. So when it comes to conscious leaders, I came up with those traits because I want them to, that's how I want them to interact with other people. And this space is really breeding that. I follow the energy. So if the energy's here, I'm there.
I was gonna say it's definitely an energy. It's an energy that's brewing. That definitely the founders like Michael and Oliver are definitely they're promoting it, and then all of the people are feeding into it.
Yes, and
it's really beautiful and fun. And at the same time, what I think is interesting is there are a lot. We talk a lot about like-minded. It's good to be around non-like-minded too, and so it's really good to sort of have. There's similar intentionalities and purpose and consciousness, but there's also very many different humans. And it's good to be able to take those things and then take them outside and go non-like-minded. How do I consciously connect with somebody that's non-like-minded? Because it's the only way we can change the world, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
How would you do that? How would you connect with someone non-like-minded?
Well, I think that for me, the main thing is understanding that in their head, if they are convinced of what they are telling me that I completely disagree with, there is a reason. They don't have like a bad intention. There is no one that's truly coming at the world with like a truly innate bad intention. Yeah. They are the way they are because they are like that because of everything that happened in their past and they're created that way. So it's really trying to understand why that is. Yeah. And being open to also changing our minds. Actually, when I had Oliver on the podcast, I don't know if he said it on the podcast or if he said it after or something. He said, every week I ask myself, did I change my mind on something this week? And I just thought hey, that's really cool. I think I've been doing that in a very non-conscious level, but like now I want to start doing that on a more conscious level. It's like, have I changed my mind on something, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like we got to be changing our minds on things to be growing.
Yeah.
So
I changed my mind on something recently that was really powerful for me. That's actually in line with this whole theme of what your natural gifts are, how do people find them. I felt like I was moving so fast in a good way, like harmoniously, and I didn't add anything. I didn't learn anything new. I didn't get more efficient. I removed things. So I removed unnecessary words from language. I removed unnecessary thoughts. And it feels like, whoa, all of your natural gifts are there, your natural state, and you just have to remove everything in the way. So that was like a really fun
Love that, brother.
thought.
Yeah. Well, Steve, thanks for being on, my man. Keep doing you. You truly are a conscious human or conscious leader. So keep doing it, brother.
Likewise, dude.
Thanks, my man.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.